here we are at Marvel's Victory Lap. And yes, this is a victory lap, basically telling everyone that they pulled this crap off. Something no one before thought was possible, cross over multiple different genres of films into one movie with loads of continuity behind it. Honestly, everyone thought we'd see a Justice League movie before we saw this one, but no, Marvel was first, and my god, was it glorious. But enough fanboying, we'll have that much later, so let's go on this plot, shall we? Ever since the end of Thor, Nick Fury has had Dr. Eric Selvig doing research on the Tesseract. All of that well done research is ended immediately when Loki shows up, brainwashes Dr. Selvig and Hawkeye, and steals the Tesseract, destroying the facility for good measure. In response, Nick Fury calls upon Captain America's Steve Rogers to act as a field agent, Bruce Banner to track down the Tesseract, with Iron Man forcing himself into the fray, and Thor, of course, jumping in to bring back his stepbrother, Loki, to justice. Alongside Black Widow, who wants her best friend back, and Hawkeye, after he gets back wanting payback for the brainwashing incident, they'll form the Avengers and stop Loki and invading Chitauri to save the day. So that's a very simple plot summation that pretty much has all the character motivations rolled up into one. Again, Captain America's pretty much been assigned this. Bruce Banner has been put on science detail, Blair put on the Hulk as beating the Hulk. Iron Man's pretty much forcing himself in there. Thor wants to kick Loki's ass and bring him back to Asgard, as well as end up ending the Asgardian mess that's going on currently. Black Widow is again on assignment, / wants a friend back, and Hawkeye wants to, shoot Loki in the face with a few arrows for brainwashing him. Pretty simple, pretty standard, pretty explanatory, but simple works. Simple really works in this case, because you have so many characters all at once. Anyway, this movie is great, and there's no argument against it. All the characters are indeed in character. They all share their screen time together greatly. They play off each other well, especially in cases like Captain America and Iron Man, Thor and Bruce Banner, and Thor and pretty much everyone. Their personalities play off so well, the classic melodrama personalities. Also, the melodrama being worked into the plot, which is honestly a pretty good example of this. As for continuity, it also works perfectly. In terms of comic book continuity, Loki was the original villain that the Avengers formed to defeat. In the comics, Ant-Man, Giant Man, Hank Pym, he was there, and the Wasp was also there, as well as members of the Avengers, but they're replaced by Hawkeye and Black Widow in this case, so it works pretty well. In the comics, he was trying to use the Hulk in one of his Kill Thor plans, and so the Avengers formed one by one trying to stop the Hulk before the Hulk pretty much said, hey, I'm not doing anything. It's all Loki, so they all decided to team up together and kick Loki's ass. So, kind of like exactly what happens here, but more energetic and more amped up. Also, speaking of Loki, he, again, is really well done here. He's at times overly confident, humbled, easily, and pompous as hell asshole, making him perfect for this movie. Hell, even if he gets a bit of a chance to be badass as he manages to kill Phil Coulson, he also gets his ass kicked by the Hulk just easily. Also, even Phil Coulson gets a chance to be badass as he blows Loki away, and also becomes the reason that the Avengers are formed. Coulson was someone I didn't mention in this little look at the films, but let's just say it all here, he's a fun character. He works pretty well as an audience viewpoint kind of guy. Someone who sees the bigger picture between all the films, sort of like we as an audience do. And also his little fanboy moments over Captain America are also pretty great. He's the reason that the Avengers are formed together, as well as giving a reason for their name being the Avengers. As in the comics, the only reason they have the name Avengers is because Wasp thought it sounded cool. I've heard of worse reasons to have a superhero name, but at the same time, it's still pretty dumb of a reason, just because it sounds cool. Still better than the Ravagers. If you're a family car, you get that joke. Anyway, one thing I want to mention is Thanos. Here he's used perfectly. Just being there as a face to show a bigger picture behind all this craziness that's going on. He's just there to show his presence, be intimidating, not really interact with much, but ultimately be the reason behind everything. It works well for his role as the big bad of the Avengers franchise. Starting off the build-up. Again, he's planting the seed for future phases, in this case Phase 3 with Infinity War coming up. I also want to mention the other end-credit scene where the Avengers are sitting around eating shawarma. It honestly feels like a very deserved scene adding on to Marvel's overall victory lap against its competitors. Again, this movie is a gigantic victory lap. You want to know why I say it's a victory lap? Because this is Marvel pretty much saying, We pulled it off. We did it. We won. Rah rah, fight the power. That last part's just fun. Anyway, yeah, again, this is a giant victory lap, and it shows, honestly. Again, I love this movie. This is a great movie, and I'll take any chance I can to watch it again. And if you haven't seen it as a comic book fan or someone who just loves action movies, you owe it to yourself to see it. And I want to say this before we close off. I want to mention Movie Bob's Really That Good video series. There's an episode on the Avengers here, and if you want a more in-depth, well-written look at it, instead of my quick little overview synopsis and my own opinion thing, on why it's so good, then I recommend you check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. And, yeah, this is a good movie. Great movie, in fact. It'll go down in history as the first of its kind, one of the first really great comic movies. I mean, there are other great comic movies, but this is one of the best ones I've ever had. And I totally agree with that opinion. Some people may look on it a bit negatively now on some hindsight things, but it's honestly just unnecessary backlash. If you haven't seen this movie, again, I say watch it. Watch it at least once in your lifetime. Everyone deserves that chance to see it once. And I'll see you all next time as we look at a big disappointment.